One thing all sim racers have in common is we want to be faster on the track.
I feel the need for speed.
Well, today we're going to review the VBOX Sim software, and I will show you how you can use this tool to become faster on the track. So let's get started. Hey guys, XJ here. So today we're going to review the VBOX Sim software. And this works in conjunction with Circuit Tools. Now, this comes from a company you are probably familiar with called Race Logic. So if you run ACC and you've seen that little timer on your dash that says Race Logic, well, this is the same company. Now, I do want to say up front, this software was provided to me free of charge in order to do the review. It is offered through Steam. As you can see here, we're looking at the page on the screen right now. Give some videos, information, screenshots. It is still in an early release access as far as software right now, and the cost is $129.99. It does support all software as far as that you're probably going to be using either iRacing, R-Factor, Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, and the F1 series, as you can see there. System requirements, really not that big of a deal. And for the most part, this software, it's quite easy to install. Per the norm, if it's in your library, install it. It's going to put an icon on your desktop that will look something like this. And you can see on the screen the VBOX Sim shortcut to the actual software. So if we'll double click that, it'll start up. If Steam's not started, obviously Steam is going to start, and then it's going to bring up this box right here. This is what will run in the background while you're doing your testing and your laps in whatever sim it is that you choose. It says it's waiting for a game right now because it does have an auto detect, and we'll probably right here, but we'll talk about that in a second. This is where the information will come up for the game. You do need to choose an output directory. You can make this a choice of wherever you would like to place the files locally that it is recording, as far as the analytics and the data, the telemetry that it's capturing during your session. So in regard to video capture, this is one of the nice things about this VBOX Simware. It's going to actually capture your lap on video, so you can tell it which screen to capture. And if you're running triples, multiple monitors, make sure you check this. Set the correct monitor as far as for your dash view. You don't want to be looking out the side window, guys. Medium quality, high quality, low. This is completely up to you and what your system can handle. Honestly, very low is probably just fine, so you don't need to have a huge file in here. I've got it at a resolution of 1920 by 1080p. Probably overkill. You can set this to lower. Probably half of this would be honestly just fine. But again, user preference, and that does depend on your system. As far as how you're going to video capture, you can do PC based. You can use an external device or no video at all. There is also an option now, since I have received this, I think the update happened as I was doing the testing, that you can use actually OBS to capture your video too. So keep that in mind. And if you need to test the video, just hit this right here. It's going to start up a little test and you're good to go. And here at the bottom of the lap timer, you can just leave that as is. Now, there is one more piece of software that you're going to need. Keep in mind, VBOX Sim is kind of the interface to capture your telemetry in the sim that you're racing. But where the magic happens is going to be in Circuit Tools. And Circuit Tools, you just need to click here and install, and then you'll get this desktop shortcut to Circuit Tools. And this is what we're going to go into next after we've recorded our data in session with SimBox, okay? Keep in mind, it gives supported games right here. Now, one tip I would recommend, you can leave it on auto detect, run it. If you don't have any issues or problems with it capturing the software, then you're good to go. If, however, and I ran into a problem testing on occasion where it would not record the data of the session that I was in. It was a little frustrating because you don't find out until after the fact. So if you've gone in to do testing and then you get this, hey, the data didn't capture error, there was a problem. My recommendation to fix that is before you go into the game where you're going to be testing, just select it. Okay, this seems to resolve that little bug that crops up from time to time. And you know, just keep that in mind. So my recommendation, select the game that you're actually using. For me, as iRacing that I'm using in these sessions, and I also checked off use iRacing telemetry here. And there's the enable OBS studio capture that we discussed on the video capture here. That's about it for setting this up. Now, once you know, you've got your settings and it's up and running, which it is right now, as you can see on the screen, I'd tell you just to move this off to the left, right screen, top, wherever you want, or you can just minimize it, go run your sessions, and that's going to capture your data in this folder. And what that data is going to look like is something like this, okay? It's going to come back with a host of files. You're going to see MP4 files, which is our video that it was recorded, and the VBO file in here, which is the data that it recorded for the session. But in order for us to use this, now we need to open Circuit Tools. Now again, Circuit Tools is free. Just download it off the link that we showed. Double click, open that thing up, and you're going to be hit with this screen. Now, keep in mind, guys, Race Logic is and Circuit Tools were designed for real world racing. Okay, and that's why you see this copy all files from an SD card, because typically the data capture for Race Logic and the recordings and whatnot are handled off-site, not while you're sitting here in your comfy sim racing rig. Okay, but for our purposes, this is what makes VBOX Sim useful for us. And what we need to do is you need to open and go to the file area where you are at, and you'll be met with this. And what I typically look for here is just the largest file. That's usually going to have all the lap data, but each of these are laps as far as recording that it's logged in there. And you can check your session dates as far as when you were doing some testing, and then click open. And when we open the file, it's going to look something like this. You'll have all your graph section here below that you can enlarge. You can change all of these windows, okay, just by clicking with the left mouse button, holding, moving up, moving down, just depending on how much data you've got and what you're trying to look at. Set this to your own preferences. This is the video. If you look up here, and you can use the F number buttons in order to change between the different ones. This is just the default setting. You go straight to the video alone, the graph data, track data, etc., all that you see up here in regard to what you're looking for. For default, works for us. You can also, and you need to set either, you know, do you want kilometers per hour or miles per hour? Set your units, set your distance and acceleration units. You can leave that alone for the most part, or you can do, you know, match it with, you know, excuse me, if you're using meters or if you're using standard as far as measurement. Opacity, you can change as far as the font if you need to, you know, move things around. Auto color laps is checked on, and you can see this. So for instance, we're going to look at laps 3 and lap 2 for comparison, and you know, you could change that color to green, okay, or whatever you choose as far as, so that you can see the difference between the 2 laps, right? So maybe for our purposes, I always seem to have a whole lot of a difficult time going, wait, which one was that? Was this a fast lap? So let's go green for our fast lap, green, fast, and red for the slow lap. There, that works better for me. And it also highlights this border around each video. So a nice piece of software. It is very expansive, I guess would be the word, and what it can do for you. And you can see all the data points, which we're going to talk about here in a second when we start to review this. One more item or thing to note, when we've got our laps here, and it will have all of your lap data, however many laps that you did, that it will show here at the top left. I want to point out this little magical button here. So we've all seen what our optimal time should be on a lap if you're using iRacing, which I am in this instance, okay? And you've always seen at the bottom, hey, here's your optimal lap. This is what your time is. But what would it look like? Well, this is what's one thing that is nice about this. You can click this little button here, ideal lap, and it's going to take your best sectors from all of the laps that you have here in regard to your data, and it's going to create your fastest lap, okay, which is what we've got displayed right there, okay. Well, excuse me, right there would be the ideal lap. Fastest is just the fastest one of the times up here. Excuse me for that. So we click off that, and this would give you including video, okay? And it's not perfect edits, right? But it's really good to give you an idea of where your brake point should be, what you should be doing, where your acceleration should be, how smooth, how hard you should be on the throttle, etc. But I've found this to be pretty helpful because we've all seen the numbers there, but we don't always know exactly what that looks like. Well, now you can just by clicking the lap. It's quite a nice feature here inside of Circuit Tools. Again, Circuit Tools is where the magic happens, right? And the software, though, that we're talking about that captures the telemetry is VBOX Sim. So I want to make clear that we're talking about two pieces of software here. What you're purchasing on Steam is the VBOX Sim software, which is the interface that allows you to place this data inside of Circuit Tools. So let's take a look at the data and what this software can do for you in order to help you improve your times. Now, right now we have a lot of options over here. If there's any zeros, there's no recorded data. So for tire temps, we don't get any data. Unfortunately, wish we did, but you can see where we do have data that you may want to look at. Right now on the screen, we have speed, which is this top one, okay, and then the delta difference between the two laps, which is this bottom one. And as you see, the green lap is the faster lap. That's going to be the constant here in the delta, and the red lap, red line that you see here in the graph is going to show where if it's above this line, the pace was slower for the red lap. And if it's even, it was right on. And if it's below the line, the red lap was actually at a faster pace for that lap. So kind of interesting to note a couple things here within my lap, but we'll get there in a minute. What will we want to look at? Well, brake and steering. That's probably where we're going to go for the most part. That's typically where we're looking to find what are we doing different and what's going on. I'm going to turn off the delta. You know what? Before I turn off the delta, when you're using this, one thing you'll notice here that the labeled area, speed, brake, steering, delta time, this is kind of off a little bit. You see where it should be. If you'll just click here as far as the line, once you put in new boxes or taking out old ones, it'll straighten those out, put them right at the top of the each bar graph area. So just a little tip there. I'm not going to charge anything. There we go again. We turn one off. Let's click it and we're good to go. Where do you know what? That bothers me. I want steering at top and then brake at the bottom. So depending on which ones you click first, we'll shift and adjust these boxes. Now we're looking at the entire lap. If you want to scroll, use your middle wheel, you can scroll in closer to just look at sections of the lap in particular, or you can click with your left mouse button here and highlight over to capture just a little bit of it. You'll see the highlight there, and that's going to just focus on that. You can, again, scroll back out if you want, scroll in, and if you will hold down the right mouse button, you can scroll and move along the lap if you're scrolled in along these lines. Okay, so it's quite easy to work with, not a problem whatsoever. I don't think anybody will have. How can this help you? We can review what's going on in order to determine, hey, where am I losing time? Where am I gaining time within the lap, which helps to improve our time, right? Are we braking earlier? Do we need to brake later? Sometimes braking later is not always the answer to being faster on the exit of a corner. And this is going to allow you to take a look to see, hey, what was I doing different on the fast lap that I need to do in order to maintain that when I was running this red lap. And we can go, you know, we can review practically anywhere that we'd like. One thing for certain, I mentioned early on that, you know, we had faster speed out of the red lap in the first section, okay? And you'll notice as I'm scrolling, the video is synced and, you know, goes along with the lap as we're moving. So this is really nice, right? When it comes to being able to compare the laps. So for the red lap, we actually did hit the brakes earlier, right? Oh, got steering selected. I'm gonna do it. Throttle. There we go. Now we're back to this again. Okay, bingo. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Not worried about the steering at this point. We're worried about throttle and brake. Okay, we came out of that throttle. We had a little blurb there, and then we came out of the throttle early. About right here is we're out of it, and it's released, and we're starting our braking that you can see on the screen here with the red lap. Yet with the green, we stayed in it a little bit longer, and it turns out that if we, you know, compare the speed at the end of this run, that's probably not the best thing, is braking that late here for us. And again, this is personal to you. It's not personal to everybody. Everybody doesn't drive the same. There can be minor differences as far as in how you know, brake, throttle, hit an apex, etc. So keep this in mind. This is for your own benefit, not for everybody's. But for me, it would have been better if I would have had the red lap brake zone coming off and then getting back into dragging that brake down, trail braking out, and then back in the throttle earlier. Because you can see, even though I had to come out of it a little bit here to make an adjustment, as I was coming through turn one there, the green one is more steady. But by the time we get to here with our speed, and the speed should be showing right over here on top, you can see that the red lap is actually, you know, faster than the green lap. And this is where you'll see your, you know, your constant displays here when it comes to your data. Another good point is here, so like peak of braking you can look at. So for the red lap, peak braking was about 74%, where the green was actually at about 80%, right? So looking there, I need to go back and make, you know, an adjustment lap real quick. In the cutting, turns 3 and 4 always seem to cause me a little bit of grief with this track. And we can see here, if you look at the graph, the red lap, we come out of the throttle early. We stayed in it longer for the green lap. And it seems like even coming out early for the red, we had a lot more adjustments rather than holding onto that throttle until we were a little bit closer to that inside wall there on the left. And again, braking was heavier in the green, not really an issue as far as if we drag and trail off here coming into turn 4. And we did get on the throttle earlier with the red, but you'll notice it's not nearly as smooth as it was with the green lap, right? It was later, but it was a slow, smooth, steady throttle acceleration all the way up the hill there through the cutting coming out of it. Whereas we had to ease out just a bit here in the red lap in order to probably make an adjustment for the car. And if you can, you know, just press the video here at the top, it will actually start and play through. So what does that look like? Well, I'll just show you right there. And you can see the two side by sides. And one last tip here before I forget, if you'll click this little button right here, it'll actually give you your speed right there on the screens, rather than you needing to refer to it over here when you're doing your analysis. So what do I think? I did have some problems with the software, not capturing data from time to time, you know, as far as a bug of some sort. Again, I think the fix for that is to just select the actual sim, the game that you're going into, rather than allowing it to auto detect. It seemed to just have some issue there but that's about the only glitch that I had as far as in the usage of it. It's quite easy to install, very easy to use, because it's simply just starting it up and then you get out there and run your laps and do your thing. The magic happens when you get out of session and can get into circuit tools, which you see on the screen right there. It will allow you to analyze to a fine degree what it is you're doing, what it is you're not doing, what you're trying to accomplish, and see where you can get faster, because that's what it's all about, right, guys? How do you get faster, and how do you become more competitive out here on the track? I think it's worth the investment. I would definitely recommend it. If you're serious as far as your sim racing and trying to get better and perform at a higher level, this software is really geared for you. If you're just a casual user who's just jumps on the sim, and races a few times a week, and you're not really you're just having fun, you don't need this. This is really overkill for someone like you. But if you are wanting to become faster, I would tell you VBOX Simware is probably a great place to start before you do anything else out there in order to give you a better competitive edge. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps the channel out a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, make sure you check out the rest of the YouTube page. You might find some things there that will interest you. Till next time, this is XJ, and we'll see you on the track.